So Jay Slater. So the actual, this long-awaited documentary that's coming out, finally, they've actually said when it's going to be shown. Here we go. So according to AI, it's funny now, isn't it? Whenever you Google something, you used to get Wikipedia would come up first. Now it's the AI overview from, I think it's Gemini. The disappearance of Jay Slater, and it's going to air on Sunday, the 28th of September. So that's next Sunday, not tomorrow. And it will be on Channel 4. Let me just put a picture up of Jay. So Jay Slater was a case we covered again. It was last summer, wasn't it? Poor Jay. Poor lad, only 19 years old. Let's put some photos of him up so that we can, just to remind us, though I'm sure you haven't forgotten who he is. It was a big case, wasn't it? Because he was missing for so long, of course. Was it a month he was missing, or maybe even longer? Let me just share the photos of him. Yeah, so Jay was a lad. He was 19 years old. He went off on his first holiday lad's holiday to Tenerife, and he disappeared, didn't he? And there's, I'm not going into all the some people feel there's more to this case than it appears. Personally, I don't. I think it was, it was an accident that he just, unfortunately, it was like misadventure, really, because he went. I think the mysterious thing is why he went off to the Airbnb with Ayub and Rocky. Not sure why he did that, but we'll never know, because Ayub and Rocky, I think it was probably connected with drugs, the reason that he went there. But Ayub and Rocky are never going to say that, are they? They're not going to say, oh, yeah, he came to the apartment because we were going to give him some drugs or whatever. They're not going to say it. So I don't think we'll ever get to the bottom of that. But I don't believe there was any foul play. I personally don't. But I know a lot of you do, and that's fine. We've all got our views. But the inquest, oh my God, the inquest found, of course, that it was an accident, that he, oh God, that's some idiot outside with a motorbike playing around now. The inquest found that he decided to take a cut across to try and make his way back to his apartment. We'll never know what was going through his head at the time. He had been raving for a few days. He hadn't drank proper water or eaten properly, so he wouldn't have been in a normal frame of mind. We'll never know. We'll never know that. Anyway, fell down a ravine. This was what the official version was. This is what was decided at both the Spanish inquest and at the British inquest, that it was accidental death. And now they're having this documentary. Now, this documentary will be interesting because the family have, given the family. The thing is, the family have accepted that it was an accidental death. So don't forget that the search team that went out there, that the family paid to go out there, they said there was no way that anybody could get up there carrying a body. So, unless he was dropped from a helicopter into the ravine or somebody pushed him in there. But, that means somebody got into that. They found it hard. They're a search team that are experienced in terrain. And they found it hard to get up there. And the Guardia Civil had to get a helicopter to get him out of there. He underestimated the terrain, in my opinion, and before he knew it, he was lost Remember, he made that panic phone call and said he didn't know where he was. He couldn't find his way back. And then he slipped. It just seems, I just don't really see why that just doesn't seem logical to people. But anyway, a lot of people don't think that, and that's fine. I'm just saying what I think, and anybody who's got an opposite view, they can express it, no problem. But that was what was decided anyway at the inquest, and his family have accepted it. I think we have to remember that. His family have accepted it, and his mum and dad, my heart breaks them, because of course they were separated, weren't they? They weren't still together. Just horrible. 19-year-old lad, that's it. He just turned his life around. He'd had some problems, hadn't he, in his early teens. He'd really narrowly escaped prison, didn't he, for getting involved in quite serious crimes, or at the end of the day got involved with a group that were involved in serious crimes. And again, I'm not going to be on there debating on sort of how serious what he did was, or because I don't even know the full facts of it. But all I know is he was 16. He did some bad things, but he turned his life around, and a lot of people don't manage to turn their life around here. It was an apprentice bricklayer. He was enjoying his life, and he died. So that's it as far as I'm concerned. He deserves sympathy, and his family deserves sympathy. And it'll be interesting to see how this documentary goes. I'm quite looking forward to watching it, because apparently there's going to be a lot more details released. Maybe not. Maybe it'll end up being one of those things that I knew more. I know a lot about this case, so it might be one of those things where after watching it, I think, God, I knew more than that anyway. Who knows? But anyway, that just to let you know when it is. So I'll probably remind you nearer the time. So this is how it describes it. It'll explore the tragic events surrounding Jay Slater's disappearance and death in Tenerife, focusing on his family's experience with media intrusion and online speculation. Now, whatever your views are, you've got to agree it was horrible the way especially Debbie, the mum, was treated by TikTokers and the media, not only the social media, but mainstream media. She was shown no respect. People were phoning her saying he'd been kidnapped. Remember all those horrible photos circulating of a young lad that looked like him, sort of, with something around his neck and bruises all over his face. There were videos made up and put out there as deliberate, for deliberate clickbait, conspiracy theories that it escaped on a boat, and some really crazy things. Whatever you think, there was crazy things. Now, I understand how people can think, well, why did he go back to that Airbnb in the first place? That is, I think, an enduring mystery that will always be. And as I say, Rocky and Ayub know why, but they're not going to say why, because it may have been for some nefarious purpose. So they're not going to say, oh, well, yeah, he came back because we were going to sell him the drugs we had left. So they were going home the next day, weren't they? Or if he was a drug mule, some people say that. I don't think he was, but say he was. Rocky and Ayub, they're not going to say that, are they? So, you've got to be realistic in that sense. It's just whether you believe his death was an accident, or what do you think, that Ayub took him up to that ravine and pushed him over? Come on. Even just saying it out loud, it seems ridiculous. You can't imagine Ayub doing anything as strenuous as that. Do you know what I mean? He's not going to go up to a ravine and put his own life in danger to push Jay off the edge. Anyway, it's one thing that'll always give me a little, I don't know if it make Debbie laugh or Warren, because sometimes you have to find a little bit of levity in these situations. I wish I could have been a fly on the wall at the inquest. When Ayub was giving his testimony, just the way he talks, and now Mr. Aidley, the coroner, of course, he had to take the case even though really he'd retired, because he wouldn't give up a chance of being the centre of attention, would he? But just the thought of them two talking to each other, and Ayub with his, you know what I mean, bro, and all that, he's sort of street talk, and Mr. Aidley so posh and refined. It just makes me chuckle every time I think about it. Anyway, there you go. That's just my sense of humour. I hope that doesn't offend anyone, but it did make me smile at the time. It still makes me smile because, you know, Mr. Aidley's so up himself, isn't he? And Ayub is just so sort of, I think, yeah, personally, I think Ayub is not as street wise as he likes to make out he is, because he talks about his mum a lot, doesn't he, and his family and everything. I think it's just, you know, the thing is, you have to walk people's shoes, don't you? You know, I wasn't brought up the same way. You know, I've been brought up in one way. Ayub has had his life, and he's grown up with this bravado. You know, he got involved in bad things when he was young, didn't he? He went to prison for years, and he said himself, I've seen him being interviewed, you know, he doesn't want to go back to prison. Doesn't want to go back to prison. He's been there, done that, got the T-shirt, didn't like it. And he said that not the first time he went to prison, but the second time, it did change his life. You know, it did improve his life afterwards. So I don't know. We'll see. Now, of course, Rocky's the really dodgy one, because they couldn't find him, could they? Because it turns out that Rocky's got other warrants out for his arrest, so he wouldn't go to the inquest. He didn't want to be found, but he already had warrants out for his arrest. So you can see why he wouldn't want to go near the police, because then they're just going to say, oh, by the way, you've got these other warrants for your arrest. And, you know, so he's sort of avoided that. Apparently he's been back to the Airbnb, hasn't he, to stay at the same Airbnb. You know, I think I'll have to go and stay there one day and see what the attraction of it is. The thought of being right up in the mountains, you know, you wouldn't really want to be there, would you? So let's see. So it's to air on Sunday, September the 28th at 9 p.m. and it will explore the tragic events surrounding Jay Slater's disappearance and death in Tenerife, focusing on his family's experience with media intrusion and online speculation. The film offers a personal look at the case, the social media storm it generated. It wasn't only social media storm, and the devastating impact of online commentary on a grieving family. I do think they treated the family terribly, especially it was awful the way Jay's mum was treated. Awful. Oops. So that's it. Sunday the 28th of September at 9 p.m. UK time on Channel 4. I'll be watching it, definitely will be watching it, and we'll see.